Hi everybody, I'm Carl and welcome back to Knack 3D Designs. In today's episode, we're going to go ahead and install our belt on our White Knight printer. Now, for this episode, I did do a seamed belt using aluminum duct tape to put it together because, well, I was still prototyping at the time and I hadn't spent the money for a fully hardened, welded seamless belt. So you get to see how to do it on the cheap on this episode, and in a later episode, I'll show you how to install the belt if you buy a seamless belt instead. So let's get started. Alright, so my apologies. In my rush to get the second belt printer done in time for Murph, I started assembling the belt without filming. So I'm going to try and cover what I've done so far. We've got our sheet of fully hardened stainless steel. Our Buildtak sheet. Now the Buildtak sheet is a full 2 meters long. The full hardened sheet is only 1,920 millimeters long, so it is 80 millimeters shorter than the belt. That's intentional. What I did with the belt, I flipped it over. I scored just through the white plastic sheet that's on the back. And this nasty stuff here. What I did was I marked in 100 millimeters from each end and I scored through the white sheet, and then on the far end from that score mark, so we have our 100 millimeters, then I went another foot into here and I put another score mark, and then I picked about dead center and I put one more score mark. Now the 200 millimeter sections, when we loop this belt together, they're actually going to overlap. When they overlap, I'm going to take a straight edge like this and I'm going to go from point to point, and I'm going to lay another piece of metal underneath so I don't ruin this one, and I'm going to score it at an angle so that it rolls nice and neat over the rollers. And I'll cover that again when I assemble it on the printer. What I've done for now is I've left a protective coating on the 100 millimeters on this end. I've left a protective coating on the 100 millimeters plus the foot overlap on this end. And then I've gone ahead and sprayed everything down with rapid tack. Well, I did half of it first. I rolled the whole sheet back like this, sprayed this half down, peeled half of the white off in between the from the center score to this 100 millimeter mark. Pulled that off, sprayed it all down, rolled it out, got the sheet centered good where I was sure I liked it, and then I squeegeed out this half of the belt. Once I had this half squeegeed out, I pulled the belt down this way, made sure the metal was still clean, sprayed it down with rapid tack, peeled off this section of the backing, laid it back out, squeegeed it out. Now I'm going to let this dry for 24 hours. When I put it on the belt, I will use aluminum tape, and I'll line the seams up, and I'll tape this seam right here. Once I've done that, I'll clean the belt again. I will peel everything but the two pieces 100 millimeter at the end, so I'll peel off that foot in the middle. I'll spray it with rapid tack. I'll squeegee that all out, and I'll let that set for 24 hours. Once that's done is when I will cut this at its angle, and then I, without rapid tack, will go ahead and very carefully squeegee out these two little triangles that we'll have here, and we'll have a nice little neat diagonal seam. Alright, so our next step is to install the belt onto the printer. Got to loosen the rollers up, so I need to tape this in place for starters. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and loosen the roller adjusters on all four corners pretty much to the max they can be. Basically taking them all the way up and then turning them back one turn. Now our next step is going to be to get it to lay as flat as we can here in the middle. Now we can peel this back just enough. As you can see. I'm going to tape that out of the way. What I'm trying to do right now is just get this belt positioned as square as I can here in the middle so that I've got something to kind of keep it in place so I can tape it to the two halves together with the aluminum tape. Care about is this nice little line down the middle, so I'm going to try and secure this all as best I can. So I can leave that line clear. So the aluminum duct tape. Now, next step, we got to clean that off with alcohol real quick. Now we'll need our aluminum tape and our Buildtak squeegee. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure out a piece of tape. I don't care about how accurate it is at the moment, so I'm going to trim it nice and neat after it's down. Right. Now all I have to do is take a razor knife and trim off the excess. Now we have our two halves taped together. Next step is to very carefully reveal back to where we stopped adhering. But for this side we won't do anything with, it's just this side. So I'm going to move my tape right underneath this. Keep this belt held down nice and neat here. Because right here is basically our overlap area. That once we have the Buildtak sheet adhered up to here, the last thing we'll have the overlap right here. We'll put our clamp on it. We'll put a nice diagonal in, and we'll cut our belt at a diagonal along here so that it rolls neatly over the rollers and not one straight line that can peel up easier. So what I need to do, I need to wipe all this down, spray it with rapid tack, and adhere this last 1 foot section down to the sheet. The last section, this little diagonal, I will not use rapid tack on, that'll get squeegeed straight up. Well, that way we get the best possible adherence we can. Notice I have removed the circuit card, so I don't have to worry about spraying it down. Try to start this sheet out. Yep, get it all the way across. I like to start it from this end because you've got all this dust and dirt that likes to stick to the back of the Buildtak sheet. This way I'm peeling it away so I'm not putting it on the bed. Make sure you get some back in here. We should be pretty good. Now I just got to squeegee it out and do our best to catch all the liquid as it comes out. Try to keep paper towel right here as I'm doing it. And that's pretty much all we will do for today. I'm going to go ahead and set a weight on here just to keep this edge down nice and tight so it doesn't peel back away. I'll probably just put it just like that just to keep that edge down. But I'm going to go ahead and squeegee this out a little more. You guys don't need to watch all that. But I'm going to squeegee this up, make sure I got all the bubbles out real good. And then I'm going to let this sit for 24 hours till I do that. Okay, so the next step for finishing our belt is we need to cut the diagonal seam. To do that, I've got a piece of scrap tempered belt steel. I've made it to where it's just a little bit wide. We have roughly 80 millimeters of overlap. I've made it a little bit wider than that because if you remember, I cut the ends where it was 100 millimeters left to be done on each end. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slide. I'm going to try. Slide that all the way across and get it to where it is definitely within the area of overlap on both sides. Okay, I'm within the area of overlap. Now I'm going to take a straight edge. I've got a spare piece of linear rail I'm going to use for that. I'll use that along with a couple of clamps here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up to where it's within the overlap on both sides. Now I'm going to clamp it in place. Now that I've got that on there, I'm going to put a nice sharp blade on my knife, and basically what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and run the knife straight down this edge and trim this off. That's half of it. Now we're basically going to cut that same line until we get down to the steel here, and then we'll pull out the little remnant that's there. I've cut through both layers now. I don't want to risk cutting through the metal. A little bit of finish cutting. Cut as neat as I hoped it would. I may have to clean that up. That's laying down in there better than it was before. I got a little bit of a gap, but I'll take a little bit of a gap over the overlap because that will cause a bubble. Now, make sure that you don't have any dust and debris underneath there. And I need to wipe that down with alcohol. Now the hardest part is we're going to squeegee this out without adding any rapid tack, so we get a nice good bond here. I got a little burr right there. That would be nice. To do that, I'm going to bend this back. Grab our tape. not to let that go. And that's one side of it. And now you see why I left the monitor panel off, because that gives me room to get in here from this end and do the same thing. And there's our seam. Now I'm going to let that set overnight, and then what I will do tomorrow is I'll take and get a nice sharp razor blade on here, and I will slowly advance this and trim our excess overhang on each side. I'll have to sit right here and just let it do a feed and cut that little overhang off. That completes installing our belt. Alright, so that wraps up today's episode. Now if you'd like to help support the channel, future development of the White Knight, and any other future projects, there are several links in the description below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.